Hello and good day. Welcome to another exciting episode of Voice of the Educators, the platform that has committed itself to amplifying educational voices and sitting with minds that shape Ahmadu Bello University Zaria and beyond. Today's episode is not just special, it is very special because we are joined by a man who currently wears the hat of Head of Department, Local Government and Development Studies here in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. He is known across campus as a father, a mentor, and even an articulator. But beyond all of these names, today we are going to know the story behind the title. He is no other than Dr. Dahiru Umar, the current Head of Department, Local Government and Development Studies, Zaria. So, Dr. Dahiru Umar, we are happy to have you here on Voice of the Educators.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to have you too.
So, before we dive deep into the conversation, we would like to know the story behind the man. So, in essence, we'd like you to give us a brief biography about your life, citing the achievements, challenges, and things you encountered along the way.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. First of all, my name is Umar. All right, I'm Umar Dahiru instead of Dahiru Umar. Dahiru is my surname. Of course, as for my biography, it's not that much. I can think that, I'm a Zaria person from Zaria local government. I was born in the mid-70s. And of course, after some years, I was enrolled into primary school as it used to be then. We started directly. And at that time, of course, there were private schools and some of our mates then were in primary, but most of us, had our primary education at LEA, this local government, these government primary schools. I actually started my primary education at one primary school in Funtua. Then I don't know what local government it was, but I started in Funtua. It's a town, we all know it is now in Kasana State. Yes. I started, I guess, around probably 1982. And then, of course, from there, I moved to another primary school in Umar. It's a town in Kasana State. Then, I was following my parents. They were, my father was a staff with Kaduna State, and of course there was this tradition of transfer during those days. And wherever you've been transferred to, you would carry your family and along. And then it was, it was the same Kaduna State, Kaduna. It was in '87 that the two states were being separated. So all along, I moved to Umar, and of course, I completed my primary school in Saminaka. It is a local government now in Kaduna State. That was in 1988. And of course, immediately after the primary school, we moved to secondary school as usual. That's the beginning of JS. In fact, I started my junior secondary school equally in Saminaka. There was this secondary school they call Government Secondary School Saminaka. That was in 1989. And of course, I had my junior school education up to junior 2, that is JS2. And of course, I left Saminaka equally for Zaria. That was when I joined Al-Huda College in 1991 to complete my junior secondary school. And of course, having completed that, I proceeded to senior secondary school in the same Al-Huda College, and we completed the senior secondary school in 1994. Immediately after that, then it was only, NECO started around 1998. When we took this SSE, we call it SSCE, it was only WAEC. And of course, if you fail, mostly you fail. And of course, we were all in a way failing. Yes, so when I took my first WAEC, I got a few credits, of course, and passes. They may not be enough requirement to take me to advanced level. And of course, at that time, we were almost being stranded Then, of course, there was an NGO. Up to now, it is still existing, known as Zaria Educational Development Association. It came into our aid. Even before we completed our secondary school, it has started a kind of what we call Zeda remedial program. Yes, and then of course, having gotten those few credits and some of these passes, we cannot proceed. And then I was lucky to be one of those that were being selected because a number of us went there for the interview, Zeda interview. But after the interview, we were subjected to written test. Yeah, and we wrote the test, and I was one of those that were lucky to be selected for the program. I was being selected to take that remedial program. That was in 1995. It was a kind of, I think, 6 months, very intensive, rigorous, remedial program. It was meant to, shape your, understanding of basic O-level, 5 O-level courses. So at that time, I took my English was there, mathematics and government, and history, and I think economics. So after that, we took another, we'll call it external. That was in November 1995, and with that, I proceed to then Kaduna State Polytechnic. And I had IJMB. There's this program up to now, IJMB program. But of course, my IJMB was a 2-year program. So I took my IJMB from 1997 to 1998. And as God will have it, after the IJMB, I got the required points. You have to get points, certain points. It can't be less than 6 points, IJMB, and then plus your O levels. And that will qualify you to apply for direct entry. That was how I applied for direct entry. No, I applied for, I wrote JAM also, because I was very anxious and eager to join the university. So I confronted the university from 2 years. Exactly. I took JAM and I had my IJMB. As God will have it, I got admission 100 level to read political science. And of course, being that I have an A level, that is my IJMB, then there was an opening. If you started with this JAM through 100 level, you can use your A level if you have, and request for upgrade. They call it upgrading. So I applied for upgrading, and towards the end of the first semester, I guess, of that year, that was 2001 session, I was guaranteed that upgrade. From there, I left the 100 level which I started and quickly joined the 200 level political science. It was a little bit difficult for me because at that time the semester has gone too far. But of course, being my background, whoever had this IJMB, it was a very rigorous training, very intense, deep. So of course, they have taken most of the lessons, and the semester was maybe more than half. Yes. But of course, I joined them and I started all over, and I was able to, catch up. And of course, from there we moved up to the point where we completed the BSc Political Science. That was in 2002. But of course, our result was shared in 2003, and I went for this compulsory national service, that is NYSC. Yes. That was September 2003 to September 2004. And immediately after the NYSC, I came back and I took a teaching job with one secondary school here in Giwa Town. And of course, while doing the teaching, I took my MSc, Masters in the same political science. And of course, within 2 years, I was able to get done with the masters. And of course, while doing the masters, there was an opening here for recruitment of young or let me say, junior academics. That was in 2005. A lot of us, like almost 20 something of us, were being called upon for interview in this department. But after the interview, only 7 of us were able to, I don't know what it was, it that we performed or they just decided to select us, but we were being selected out of 20 something, and that was how I started here as a junior lecturer. The very beginning of our lecturership is what they call graduate assistant. So 7 of us, including Dr. Abbas, Professor Gabo, Prof. Abdul Hamid here, and all these 7 of us, and even Dr. Mohammed Usman Shetima. So we started 2006 April, and since then we kept doing what we could, putting in our best to see how we can support the department in terms of teaching, conduct of research, and 1 or 2 community services. And it is since from that 2006 now, by this April will be 20 years here. We joined as very young men, and now 20 years has gone by. You may not know how time flies. Yes. So during this, of course, when I came in, I had almost completed my MSc. So I was here when they called me to take my final defense of MSc. So I went and took the defense, and I was being awarded MSc in political science. And then after which we joined with a program here, PhD program. We enrolled into PhD local government studies. And of course, that was what took us a very long time because of the nature of how things were in this place. But they are not happening that way now anymore. We have reshaped the whole thing. But in our case, we spent 10 years doing PhD. I started 2009, but of course couldn't complete until 2019. But of course, as a staff, we enjoyed and we kept doing. So that
and
is
the ways actually paid off.
Well, certainly we thank God for that. Yeah.
So funny enough, when young students in the university hear the title head of department, they tend to imagine a very strict person. So in your case, should they be afraid of you, or you are actually the kind of cool HOD?
Well, it depends on their perception. You are not supposed to be strict. Why would you be strict? Your students are supposed to be free with you, so that because that's why you are here. If they have any reason to come to you, why can't you let your doors open? You should be an approachable personality. Yeah, so being strict has no reason. Of course, there are some certain areas where you might stand your ground and be strict, but not all the time. And of course, it all depends on maybe someone else's personality. In my case, I don't suppose if I am supposed to be strict.
That explains where you got the title of being father, mentor, and
well, the students can give you all hell of names once you are teaching. Yes.
So, sir, many people dream of becoming doctors, lawyers, engineers. So, but what made you choose the path of academics?
Well, not really so. We, how tight is the labor market. Right from our time, not even now. It is tighter now. During that time, we graduated. We were very young people. We were highly ambitious. But of course, no matter how much ambitious you are, you can't go beyond your destiny. Yes, I was in my master's class when one of the senior people here has just retired some 2 years ago, that sent some message that somebody should check among the brilliant boys in the MSc class and call them here. They want to recruit, so they were looking for, and of course, we were just people that graduated looking for something to do. Of course, I was teaching. When I heard about this opportunity, I know at least teaching at higher institutions is better than teaching at secondary school level. So I took this opportunity, and that was what brought us here. But not genuinely, right? That initially we were really interested to because young people were ambitious. You want to go to where there is much money. You want where more lucrative. And of course, even some of us that joined, a number of us left. They were lucky to get themselves to some of these places that are more lucrative. Some are in fact, I have one of my friends that was supposed to come here together with him. He's now in CBN. He's a very big man now. Some are in there's very big places, CBN. This one is in ECOWAS. Is that my friend that's supposed to, he must be he's one of the commissioners. So he's a big one. But we here, of course, we kept making efforts to live as much as we could, even when we were younger. But as God will have it, God did not yet bring the time. But we don't know if maybe.
So, sir, if your younger self, let's say from 20 years back, were to meet you today as the HOD, what do you think he would say to you?
In what sense?
Let's say the achievements you were able to make so far, looking back to 20 years. Do you see yourself in such a position?
Certainly, of course, there are a number of achievements. You can say, but basically the achievements are maybe academic achievements. You can say that you started this program as a very junior academic, and along the line you grow to the almost topmost of the ladder, and you contributed towards building a lot of capacities of other people. The students that graduated at different levels, sub-degree, degree, and even postgraduate levels, were being trained. And of course, one good thing that you might not make serious money in a teaching job. We all know, particularly in third world countries. In some countries, you make a lot of money, but it's not about making money. It's mostly about the lives you are able to touch in one way or the other. At least, yes, you are impacting on people's lives, hundreds of them. And of course, you might even say your reward is in the heaven, but of course, you can have some rewards here. If you travel, across the country now, you will see that you'll be meeting people. Someone you might even have forgotten his face completely. You will see him, he will come and approach you with respect, and of course will be willing to see if he can offer any assistance and so on. This is telling you that despite that the situation isn't as good as it should be, but a lot of people are still appreciative of the little efforts that you put. Yes.
So, what impact do you hope your students will be able to make in Nigeria after leaving the university?
Well, of course, the essence of education is to change the mindset of particularly the receivers of that knowledge, because knowledge is not just about reading some literature or theories written. No, they are supposed to impact on whoever is taking them. At the end of the day, we believe that whoever steps out, we're expecting that he will step out a better man. He will be better than when he came in terms of in fact, entire, ideas about life, the way he views life, the way he thinks, and everything. So if you get someone that has a better and wider perspectives of life, certainly we hope that with that kind of level, he can make some impact in the society. And of course, even right now, we have students that passed under us or through our training in different segments, spheres of life in Nigeria, and even to your surprise, even abroad. Right now, we have some students that are in US and some of these European countries, and even within Nigeria, there are many in different aspects, and of course they are contributing in one way or the other towards, of course, the general progress of the country and humanity at large.
So it means the students are already making it big and they'll continue to.
Yes, of course, many more will come. Yes.
So now we would like to look into the reality of education in Nigeria. So we know that Nigeria has brilliant students, that we know for sure, but our education system faces many challenges. So from your experience, what are some of the biggest problems that might be facing the higher education today?
Well, of course, one of the key problems is lack of a kind of nonchalant attitude that authorities or government has towards these institutions that offer higher education. You can think of funding, because without adequate funding, you may not have the critical infrastructure that are required for quality education, and of course such institutions cannot compete with their counterparts somewhere. This is a very fast moving era, and of course you can see us, this is 21st century, but what we are doing is falling short of what is happening elsewhere. This is what is even triggering a kind of this movement. Nigerians that are well to do, or those who can afford moving out in large number in search of the same education which naturally, with all things being equal, can be offered here. But of course, the authorities are not very serious with education. We know the percentage given even in the national budget for education. Even at that, too many loopholes and leakages may not allow even those resources to come and impact. So the main thing is funding, as we have said, and of course this is a problem in the sense that, like now, this our universities now. Government cannot take care of these universities properly, and to our surprise, it is still going ahead to create and establish many more. The ones that are existing, you cannot maintain them. Any department, like in ABU now, if you see a department, as if it is surviving, it's basically from the efforts of that department. Maybe it is making one or two efforts to source for some resources from external sources, or it has a goodwill of its former students, or else, in fact, there are a lot of serious problems. Like now, I have seen that you are trying to charge this light and so on. You wouldn't have gotten this source. This is an effort from the department that place this solar on the department, or else you will not even see the light.
So let's say you had the power to change 3 things in Nigerian universities immediately. What would they be?
Well, first of all, there has to be adequate funding. That is one. Funding would bring adequate infrastructure and would hold people from running away. Because even if you look at the infrastructure side, you have to look at the resource persons, or the people that work there. You have to make them happy too. So if there's adequate funding, and that funding is coming directly to these institutions, and there is a serious oversight to stop leakages, that will go a long way in making our universities better. And then, of course, another thing is to ensure to work seriously about the quality. And of course, like these higher institutions, we are the end receivers. The quality is lost right from the very start. The primary school, then you come to the particularly O levels, where people will write O levels and then take jam and so on. You see a lot of corrupt activities going on there, to the extent that now youngsters are no longer thinking that you can
Education
go
is,
and study hard so that you can write and pass. They believe that you just mark time. When it is time, you look for money, and of course go to where this malpractice miracle centers.
Yes, sir.
And of course, before you know, you are flying, you are coming with flying
Colors.
colors. And of course.
Without any effort.
So that is the beginning of what's cutting even the quality of education. So if you have a chance, you will insist that such sharp activities should be dealt with, should be stopped, so that people should now bend down and do the needful. This is another thing to look after the quality of education, and of course to change the mentality of Nigerians. There's this mentality now. The society is divided clearly into those that have a lot of resources and control the society,
and
limited resources, the poor. To the point that now the mentality is, if you see people around these public schools, universities, they mostly come from backgrounds that are not very solid in terms of maybe political or economic or all this. So this mentality would have to be changed. That to the point that the essence of these universities is that would allow different people from different backgrounds, diversities to come and have a kind of interaction that will go a long way in keeping the society one and in enhancing the experiences of the people there. But the mentality now is, once you get to certain threshold of life, your child is not coming here. In the whole of this faculty, if care is not taken, you will not see any child or ward of any person who is politically or economically significant in the society. He would prefer to go to private, or even to send his child somewhere abroad.
Yes,
so this
thank you very much for that, sir.
Thank you.
So now that we've discussed education and all, let's do something that will make the interview lively. So what was the funniest excuse that you've ever received from a student for missing class or an assignment?
We almost assume that students are, in a way, experts in crafting lies.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but they will come out with a hell of excuses for either not attending a class or coming very late or not being able to meet up with assignments and so on. But one of the baseline lie is whether someone is sick. This is number one. Or he will tell you that his parents, one of the parents, either his mother or someone, is sick. In fact, there was this one, I don't know, what happened some years back. He's supposed to be my supervisee for undergraduate project, but he couldn't show up not until we are done with that. Then he came. I said, no, the semester, in fact, we are done with the issue of project. He would have to wait for next session. Yes. Then he quickly crafted a very pitiable story. He told me that when he started the project, along the line, he was called home and he went there and he realized that his mom was very sick, and he's the only one, and of course he had to stay back and look after the sick mom. After some a month or so of sickness, she gave up, she died. And of course, I took pity in him so seriously. He was even shedding tears. I can remember him. Then I was in that office myself, and now Professor Abdulhamid. Yes, of course, he shed tears, and I took pity. I was beginning to think of what to do when, yes, as God will have it, someone that knows him came in. That's the beginning of the problem. I said, you know him. He called his name and they greeted, and you know him. See what up? You say, where? And that was when the whole thing.
The truth was.
Yes.
So, if you weren't a lecturer today, what profession do you think you might have been in?
I was certainly in my younger years, let me say, I was, in fact, there were two opportunities for me to join the military. maybe I would have been in the military.
personnel.
Yeah, certainly. But I missed him by just slight, or what should I say? I just missed those
The
opportunities.
opportunity.
Yes.
So, do you know of maybe one misconceptions that students usually have about their lecturers?
Yes. The misconception, like from my experience, some will assume that you are not kind or wicked whenever you insist that the student should do the right thing. More particularly, I can remember then when we came in here some, let's say like 10 years back when we were younger. We were very strict, some of us. I can remember Dr. Abbas, you may know him, Dr. Maruf then. Yes. We were very strict, particularly during examination. Then we were having large number of students. And of course, with this Nigerian mentality, people believed in cutting corners to get to what they want to get. So a lot of malpractice, cheating during exams, and we were standing our ground. So with that, some students then were looking at us as some people that were anti-progress. We were labeled differently. We were sadists, wicked, and then all this. But despite that, we stood our ground despite those wrong perceptions. But along the line, some of them have graduated and have gone to other places. Yes, now I'm sure some of them might be looking back to say, oh, these people that were labeling as sadists are not really sadists because of their strictness during exams. That strictness compelled us to bend down, and we were able to do at least something.
So have you ever given a student extra marks because maybe their answer made you laugh and actually made sense at the same time?
If an answer in a way generated laughter from you, it means that maybe it is not maybe the right answer. No, but at least if you see someone that at times, particularly then, we were not doing CBT. It was mostly this essay. Yeah, and we are social sciences. Our HOD is mostly how to express yourself. And mostly what I like in students, whenever I'm marking, I always love people's good handwriting. If you see someone with good handwriting, at times even if the substance is not really that much, yes, you can, that handwriting will give you a kind of peace and in mind, and before you know you are awarding marks. But of course, you get somebody with good ideas, but he has very terrible handwriting. Such always create maybe that person to be given the wrong. But there is something. Whenever you are marking, and it happened that someone is writing nonsense. In fact, at times you'll be talking to yourself. You are just the one marking. You'll be hissing. You'll be you'll be annoyed and making some comments. Even if there is nobody there. At times you can even insult that person that want to love things. In fact, some lecturers will even write insulting statements on the booklet, even though you are just almost insulting nobody, because the student will never see it.
Yes, sir. So in a nutshell now, what advice would you give to young Nigerians who want to pursue the academic career?
Well, one thing is that they must be patriotic enough. That is, patriotic enough, ready to maybe take their minds from all distractions outside. In the sense that because you will see your mates maybe in other sectors making life, let me say, or making money or other resources, while if care is not taken, you might end up not making as much as they are making. But one good thing is that once you are dedicated and committed to academics and you are ready as a youngster, there are openings and opportunities now. You can, so long as you are ready to dedicate yourself, you can receive grants, you can receive scholarship and so many other, and of course through these grants you can make serious money. But of course grants are not for the lazy. They are meant for those that are ready
and
they can work hard and they have the tenacity to continue. You can write 10 times and they'll keep bringing it back to you, maybe correct this, correct that. If you are not tenacious enough, you can fling it aside and then that's all.
Okay, so how can students contribute to national development even before graduation?
Of course, students, most of the students are the young segment of the population, and you know how important is that particular segment. So long as just like you now, you are all students, and of course you are looking productive, and what you are doing, this. So students, of course, in as much as you are supposed to concentrate on your studies, but that will not stop you from getting engaged in other productive ventures. So whatever productive venture as a student that you concentrate on, which will not take you away from your studies, would eventually help in one way or the other. Because the issue of nation building is a very heavy task. Everyone would have to have his hand. You will hold this angle, the other one will hold the other angle. So students should be up and doing, particularly now that the labor market is very, very stiff. You are not so sure that once you are out, you'll be employed. In fact, even that mentality of being employed by somebody is a kind of olden day kind of idea. That's why we even encourage students that they should start, being, useful to themselves, productive, even while they are still in school. By so doing, they are learning how to be self-reliant, and they are contributing to the development of the country. And of course, they may not be a burden to themselves and to the country, but after graduation,
around them also.
That is it.
So, looking at Nigeria's current situation and future, are you optimistic about the upcoming generation?
No, the optimism is not that high. I'm afraid you will see that the young ones, anybody that is like, let's say, in his 20s, to me, might have grown in a scenario where good things are not happening. He would just, in his senses, he assumed that is how life has always been. He must have not known when Nigeria there were semblance of some quality. Life was people were, responsible enough. But anyone that is, let's say, 30 years downward may not know that, because he has already, he came in a situation when, corruption, sharp practices, the bad guys are in control. If the more you cut corner at times, the better for you, because the society even goes with people that are not straight. So he may assume that this is how. Of course, this is the new norm, and as far as he's concerned, this is how life is. Then why can't he take that
opportunity?
Utilize that same opportunity, and that would not be good for the country. There is no way the country can develop on the basis of this kind of arrangement, because it's a false arrangement. There's no way, everything we do falsely, to the point that whoever is giving any responsibility for the country is willing to get there only for him to, help himself, and his immediate cronies. That's all, not for the good of the country. And that is the mindset of majority of the youngsters. And these youngsters are the ones that will move this country in the near future. So if they have this negative mindset, how do you have optimism that they will do something? In fact, it requires serious reset of our faculties, actually.
So, what message would you like to give our students of Ahmadu Bello University and also young Nigerians currently watching this podcast?
Well, the message is always that despite that things are very going the other way actually in the country, but they should still have this positive mind that of course they can always make the change can always start with them. It can begin with them. They shouldn't look back to see that of course those that are ahead of our predecessors did not do this, did not do that. We made the country as bad as it is, because all sectors of the country, no sector is alive anymore. The country is in a kind of coma. But why can't they have positive minds as young minds to say, okay, this positive change is going to start with us and we are starting it.
Very well, sir. So finally now, if you were to leave one message for the Nigerian government about the educational sector and they were listening right now, what would you say to them?
Well, they should be sincere and of course be serious with education, because no country can actually progress when a larger majority of its populace are not properly educated. Of course, we are not talking about the number of certificates. You can have as many certificates, but if there are no substance, those certificates might mean nothing as what we are being confronted with right now in the country. So governments or those in authority should be more serious, sincere, and more committed to the educational sector.
Thank you very much for that, and that is that for today's episode. And we want to thank you very much for sharing your time, your wisdom, and invaluable insights with us today. Your thoughts on administration, education, and mentorship, we hope will make a very big impact. And also to our viewers and listeners, thank you very much for staying with us. This has been another powerful episode on Voice of the Educators. I am Umar Farouk, your host, and on behalf of the CEO and entire team, would like to thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and also keep watching. Thank you.